Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. So we are just ending a very, very interesting phase in human time. Human evolution. So 2025 is or almost was the year of the snake. So it's year of the snake. Now, it's almost over, and for those people who have been very snaky, like attacking people, being sneaky, they're getting caught. So this era is over for them. So here's what I want to point out. This was a different year of the snake. I know it's a year of the wood snake. That's not what I mean. Normally, year of the snake will benefit people that are born year of the snake in prosperity and love and goodness, and some other signs that match up with year of the snake, etc. But this year there was another segment to it. So after I point that out, I'm going to get onto your power and what you're going into, and I'm going to give you a teaching that will help you to discover and see people for who they are a lot faster before they damage you. So the Chinese Year of the Snake officially ends February 16th, but now since we're in the very end of the phase, they're getting weaker and weaker. So here's what you may have noticed. You may have noticed that these people have revealed themselves by overplaying their cards. Now there's a reason they overplayed their cards to such an extent that you saw them for who they were for the first time, and they revealed themselves kind of on accident. It was a sense of nervousness, fear, and a sense of ego. So here's what's going on. There's a couple combination of things. Number one, you as an empath, light worker, spirit worker, whatever you are, a loving person, your energy is expanding, and it's been expanding. A lot of us are at a place right now where, and I'm pointing this out because I think a lot of you aren't quite aware of this. So I'm sure you've seen videos where people will tell you, like, there are some people that they'll be drawn to you for who you are, and then there's going to be other people that hate you for who you are and they want to hurt you. You have an expansive energy around you that acts like a light. It acts kind of like a mirror, but it's more like a light, where what happens is when you are around people in a room, in a business, in an office, in a store, you bring the light with you, and it reveals people for who they are. Now, they may not notice it at first. All they know is like, wow, I like this energy. Even the negative people, they like the energy until they're like, oh shit, I can see that I'm lying. I can see that I'm bullshitting myself. I can see that I'm trying to get other people to believe my bullshit. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute. Everyone in my office can see me. Everyone else knows it too. Then they go on the attack, and that's why they do it. But if they're good people, they love it. Your light reveals both the good and the bad, the light and the dark. Some people love it, and some people don't. So this is why narcissists will be drawn to your people with negative energy, etc., is because it's a good feeling to be around this light. They like the energy. Everybody does. But it's when they start to realize, like, oh shit, I'm starting to see that I'm the liar, that I'm the bullshitter, that I'm the toxic one, that I'm the one who blah, 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 blah. That's when they go on the attack. So that's why you're like, I don't understand. In the beginning, they were so nice to me. It's like, well, because they were just enjoying the light. They were enjoying. See, it's not just light. It's a warm, loving, good feeling. It's a wonderful feeling to be around someone like you. Now, like I said, this year of the snake was different than any other year of the snake. This was the year where the snakes not just live their lives the way they're supposed to and prosper and do better in love and life in general. Some of the snakes, now they may not even be born year of the snake. That's the way I should have said it. I'm just talking about snaky people. So this energy of this year allowed them to be more snaky. Not only allowed them, it encouraged them. A better way of saying it, it gave them the energy, almost the power, to attack people more and be more bold and more blatant and more out in the open. Now here's what's happening. Because we're at the very, very end, we're in December now, so we're essentially, I think almost to the very day less than 2 months from the very, very end. So just like Mercury, when it comes into retrograde, 4 or 5 days before it, we start to feel the effect, and then after it goes out of it, comes back into coming true forward, you still have a feeling of it about 4 or 5 or 6, sometimes 7 days later. Okay, so there's a little bit of a feeling. So what's happening is the energy of Year of the Snake is beginning to wane, and has been for about a month now. So what's going on is we're starting to see them more than ever. They're standing out. They're being revealed. Number one, because the energy is waning, because we're getting to the very, very end of it. Number two, because your light and more people's lights are beginning to shine. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I had a personal experience of watching someone. It was very much revealed to me, like, wow, this person has been a complete snake to me. And I started seeing through this person months ago, but man, about 3 months ago, it became really obvious. Here's the really cool thing that was revealed to me. I started noticing the people were watching him. People in line were just looking at, and you could tell they weren't laughing at his jokes. They were just staring at him. There's a complete shift in the way people are interacting with this person. Now, here's the deal. This is what I want you to know, and I'm sure you've heard it before. When you're in the space of a narcissist, or when you're in the space of someone who's snaky or sneaky or narcissistic, your light begins to reveal them, and it makes them very, very nervous, so they push even harder. And because Year of the Snake was emboldening them, empowering them to be more bold and more, snaky, they revealed themselves. So I started noticing that people were noticing this, and I started talking to some of the people like, oh, that guy's the biggest liar on the planet. Like, he's literally the biggest liar in town. That caught me off guard when a multitude of people had said the same thing without me even asking about that. The tide has turned. Have you noticed how bold people are becoming talking about this subject? People are becoming very bold. They're not afraid. They're putting on their social media. They're confronting people. They're confronting the church. They're confronting everybody. Meaning the snakes of the world. The backstabbers, the liars, the people who set people up, the people who publicly shame and humiliate people. People are just seeing it for what it is because the veils have been lifting, the light is becoming brighter, things are becoming clearer. Now, here's the thing that I noticed when I was around this person. Because I have such an expanded awareness, it allowed them to feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like it caused them to just open up and reveal themselves. Now I'm about to make a pivot to the second part of this video, so let me finish this piece and you'll see how it fits into the next piece that'll benefit you. So all of a sudden this person was doing some of the most horrendous things to people, and I was kind of like shocked because this person was always super nice, and I just, and something shifted, and I'm like, what's going on here? But it wasn't all the time. When other people came around, they went back to being nice, like they put on their mask. They became the good guy again. They smiled. They put on a mask. And that's when I was like, oh, this is what they mean by when their mask slips, okay? So here's essentially what happened. I'm always in this expanded awareness, and when I'm there, my energy inside is very silent and very calm, and therefore I can receive and pick up a lot of information. Now, because of my silence, this person took it as permissions, because I started like, wait, what's he doing? Like, does he not know I'm standing 15 feet? Like, I'm literally looking right at him? And it was the most mind-blowing thing in the world. Like, why would he think that's okay to do that in front of me? So I'd walk up to him like, why did you treat that person like what are you thinking? He was some bullshit. There's always some lame answer, or sometimes they would just walk away and just would act like I never asked the question, which is a typical narcissistic tactic. When they get caught and someone calls them on it, boom, they just walk. They act like you never said it. So here's a phrase that I'm using is, my silence was not my permission. My silence was my awareness, noticing what was going on. And that's what they think. They think that because you have this expanded awareness, because the expanded awareness feels soft, it's smooth, it's comforting, but it is awareness. So it calms them down. And because you're silent, they assume like, oh, well, they must be okay with this. I was not. I called them on it every time. I became very curious. I wanted to be very, 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 very conscious of how this works. This was the greatest learning that I'd ever had in my life when it comes to narcissists. You know, one of the things that really stood out, they're completely oblivious to the people around them. It's literally like they have blinders and they can only see the person in front of them that they're messing with. If you are 10 feet back or even 1 foot or half a foot to the left or right, it's as if you're not there to them and they think you can't see them. So he was really, really, really messing with this crippled person one day, and there was a line of like 6 or 7 people. And I'm like, whoa, whoa. I go, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean? I go, dude, all those people can see you. He goes, no, they can't. I'm like, yes, they can. They're literally in line facing towards you. They're looking right at you. And he's shaking his head like, no, they can't. I'm like, oh my God. I go, dude, they can hear every word you're saying. And this person was like, no, they can't see me. I'm like, yeah, they can. Narcissists are oblivious. Another thing that really stood out to me was, you know how I've taught you in the past how narcissists have this, it's either A or it's B, and there's nothing in between. It's black or white. If you're a kind person and your energy is soft and flowing, they're like, oh, this person's weak. See, to them, you're either nice, which equals weak, or you're aggressive and mean and tough, right? So they figure you're either weak or you're strong. There's no in between. And that's the way they look at everybody. This is why they think that they have you under their thumb, because you're being nice, when really you're just watching. They also think you're dumb when you don't constantly call them on their shit and yell and argue and fight, because they're like, they can't even see what I'm doing. Wow, what an idiot. When you're sitting there, like I would literally say to this person, like, dude, I'm right here. I am watching you. I can see everything you're doing. But because I didn't yell or scream or grab them and slam them on the ground or just, do something like that, in their mind, they don't even know what I'm doing. They're so stupid. When really, they're the ones who are literally 99% almost completely oblivious to the reality that's around them. Imagine being in the presence of an awareness coach, a consciousness coach. Imagine being in the presence of someone who's a national champion in kickboxing, state champion in boxing, 2-time Northern California wrestling champion who wrestled Division II college. I can go on and on and on. All the martial arts since I studied when I was 4 years old. Imagine that person was a weak person. Imagine that. Imagine someone who was airborne infantry in the United States Infantry. Imagine thinking that guy's the weak one. That's how oblivious they are. So the thing I noticed was, and this is the pivot, is your awareness expands their awareness and expands the awareness of the people around them. So what happens is they start to realize, holy shit, they're looking right at me. They can see it. But typical to narcissist fashion, they try to shut that down. They try to block it out of their reality, and then they try to verbally convince it out of your reality by telling you, oh, that's not real. You're not seeing what I'm doing. You're not this. And they will verbally try, and you're just looking at them with this expanded awareness. And this is when they begin to panic. They're like, it's not working. They're not falling for it. They panic, they push even harder, they try to manipulate even more, they speak louder, they talk faster, and it becomes really obvious to every single person in the room what's going on. So here's the pivot. You have an expansion in awareness, a light that eventually allows other people to expand and open up, and because you bring the light into the space, they become very aware and see who they are, what they are. In other words, it takes them out of their own lies. Like they turn off the lights. See, what they do for a living is they turn everyone's lights off, so now no one's awareness. They love to make people oblivious, because then everyone lives by their lies. When you walk in the room, the lights are turned back on, not only your light, but theirs and everybody around, and everyone starts seeing the truth. That's their worst nightmare. Now, here's the deal. This is the pivot. The people that treat you really well, those are people that like themselves. Those are people that have self-love. Those are people that are going to be good to other people because they're good to themselves. Those are people that love other people because they have self-love. They have the ability to love themselves, which means they have the ability to love and be good to other people. Now, on the flip side of the coin, people who are self-haters, negative, they don't think much of themselves, they don't like themselves, they're going to treat you that way. They're going to hate you. They're not going to think much of you. They're going to cut you down. See, inside their head, all of us are like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Why did I do that? Oh, I'm so dumb. We all do that on at least a mild level. They do it on a dense, heavy, dark level. People treat you the way that they are, and because you're an empath or a light worker, you have an expanded energy and an expanded light, which it's like you amplify people and you reveal them. So you're getting more of their impact versus less or medium or normal. And that's what reveals people. So now you get to see people for who they are. The only thing you have to do from this point on is believe them. See them for who they are. If they're rude, if they're disrespectful, if they're sneaky, if they're private, if they don't share things about themselves, realize that, walk away. See, I know a lot of you now, you can look at someone and tell when they overthink every little thing that you say to them. Have you ever had a conversation where you said nothing but positive things or neutral things, or just, hey, here's what's going on, and they found a way to get mad at you because you're like, what's going on? And okay, I'll give you a real life example. Someone I was with about 4 or 5 months ago, I said something very positive, and they came back to me like, well, why would you say that? And I'm like, say what? What's going on? Now, when I said, repeat back to me what I said, and when they repeated it back, they literally had added a couple words and they took a word out. And I'm like, that's not what I said. They're like, yeah, it is. I'm like, no, I literally said boom, 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 boom verbatim. They're like, you did? I'm like, yeah. I go, why would I say that to you? This is someone that I really, really liked. What I began to notice early on is a lot of times I would say something and it would be reversed and twisted. Words would be taken out and words would be changed and replaced with words I didn't say. And all of a sudden they're mad at me going, well, I wouldn't say that to someone. I'm like, what are you talking about? Say what? Now here's the deal. I know this person didn't do this to be mean to me or hurt me or cause problems. It was a part of their processing. It was a pattern that they use unconsciously from childhood probably, that it's like, okay, let me explain it. So number one, it could be a pattern that they've used since childhood. They might have learned it from their parents. They might have learned it from being abused. So they might have a belief that, oh, people are mean to me, and therefore when you say something positive, they turn it into something like, oh, you're being mean to me. Okay, now I'm not knocking anyone. I've done a lot of therapy to deal with issues like this. So I'm talking about a lot of this firsthand from myself and experiencing it from NLP and seeing it in other people. So a lot of times when I do therapy with people, a lot of this stuff will come up. So here's what's going on. I realized, oh, they have a pattern of doing this. So I actually had them read something in a book. Let me actually grab it real quick. Okay, so the book is called The Magic of Believing, it's not. Magic of NLP Demystified, A Pragmatic Guide to Communication and Change by Byron Lewis and Frank Puselic, okay? So this 2 pages I just happened to be reading, I said, hey, read this while I go to the bathroom, I'll come back. It's essentially talking about how a lot of times when we hear someone, we give it a meaning that we have versus the meaning that they have. And it's pretty in-depth, a little bit more to it, but you need to really listen for what is someone else's meaning. And one thing I tell people is like, okay, when you say this, what do you mean when you say that? Or what does this word or phrase mean to you when you say that? And then they give you the definition. That's what it means. The problem is most people have their own definition. I had someone recently say, well, all sarcasm is negative and mean. I'm like, no, it's not. I go, what do you think comedy's about? Comedy is about talking about a truth, but in a sarcastic manner to teach a lesson, to get a point across in a comedic kind of way. Comedy is all about learning. And a lot of it is very, very positive. Now here's the deal. This person was in their 50s and they're saying all sarcasm means you're trying to hurt someone or being mean and negative. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, wow, what a horrible way. Now here's something that I realized later, because there was a while that went by. I'm like, hey, are you mad at me or something? I'm like, no, not at all. What? I'm like, did I say something wrong, or are we having a misunderstanding? It wasn't until about 2 months after that I'll go, dude, I'm just being sarcastic. Like, I'm trying to make you laugh, funny, ha ha. I literally said that, laugh, funny, ha ha. And they're like, well, yeah, but you were being sarcastic. I'm like, so what does that? And I literally said, and it's a good habit I have. It goes, so what does that mean to you? Well, it means you're being mean, you're being negative. I'm like, why? And he said, well, all sarcasm is mean. I'm like, no, it's not. He goes, what? I go, what do you think comedy's all about? Here's the deal. He literally said, he goes, I didn't know that. I thought all sarcasm was just someone being mean to someone. I'm like, no. I go, you can be very positive in a very indirect, sarcastic way. It's not always negative. Okay, I just did a Google search and an AI overview came. It says no. So I said, is all sarcasm negative or mean? And it says no. Sarcasm is not always negative or mean. Its nature and impact depend heavily on the intent of the speaker, the relationship with the listener, and the context. So here's the deal. One of the things NLP is really big on, and especially this book and what it's talking about, is it's talking about the intention. So if you have a belief or an assumption, well, all sarcasm is negative, well, if someone's being sarcastic to you, you're going to believe they're being mean to you when they're not. And this can turn someone into being a narcissistic person if they think every time someone's sarcastic. So that's the thing. A lot of you guys have been very kind, loving, just good, funny, trying to make people laugh. And they turn around and they just attack the shit out of you. Like, whoa, what's going on here? The whole time they thought you were being mean to them when you weren't. Here's the deal. You see people for who they are now. All you need to do is go, wow, okay, I get it. This person's effed up. And sometimes it's not that they're a bad person. Now imagine believing your entire life since you're a child that all sarcasm is negative. It's to cut you down, to hurt your feelings, to be mean to you. Yeah, over about 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you're going to start being mean to people who are not being mean to you because you believe, well, this means that, when that's not what that person meant. One of the biggest things I learned in NLP is it's not what someone says, it's the intention that they intended. But you can, but this means that. No, that means that to you and your family, your friends. That doesn't necessarily mean that your definition or meaning of that phrase, word, or sentence has the same meaning as you. See, here's the thing. You guys think your definitions of word are exactly the same for every person you know across the board. They're not. I guarantee it. So I'm going to leave that at this. Here's what I'm going to leave. The overall message I want for you to get is this. You are like a light. You have an expanded energy which allows you to see people for who they are, and it causes them to become more of who they are, which reveals them. So when people are mean to you, boom, walk away. When people are nice to you, when they're loving, when they're kind, when they're giving, when they're nurturing, be with that person. Those are the good people. See people for who they are by the actions that they take with you and towards you, period, end of sentence. You can also add on to that, also notice how they treat other people. If they're treating other people like crap, if they're talking behind other people's backs, if they're lying, if they're doing this about this, lying about this person or lying about what they said, if they say one thing one day and then a month later they say the complete opposite, you're starting to see someone for who they are. Walk away. See them for who they are, period, end of sentence. Don't make up any lies for them. Don't make up excuses. See it, believe it, and deal with it on that level. And sometimes it's not necessarily that they have bad intentions or they're mean. They might just have a bunch of issues that need to get cleared up in therapy. So if they're bringing you down, causing you problems, accusing you of stuff that you didn't do, I would walk away until they get their shit together. That's it, guys. Life is turning around for all of us. The planet is starting to wake up. The good news is being revealed. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go and make a comment. And if you want to support this channel, number one, you can leave a donation. There's a PayPal link right there in the description box. Number two, you can buy one of my dating and or relationship books for men or women. You can also hire me for coaching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.